So here we go, subtraction and borrowing with zeros. Let's look at this, okay? This is not two different problems, by the way, right? So we had 501 minus 63. So we've set this up already, 501 minus 63. Now the problem with this is that if we focus just on this ones place value with the 1 right there, right? Well, we got a 1 minus 3, but again, the problem is that you're taking away more than you have, which means we're going to need to borrow from the tens place value. Now, when we go into the tens place value for this specific number, it's still bankrupt, right? Oh, you got 0 there. So there's nothing to borrow from the tens. What that means is that we need to make more tens to borrow from the tens for the ones place value. That may sound more confusing than I meant it to be, but that means we're going to turn to the 5 in the hundreds place value to borrow into the tens place value, right? Now, what that means is that 501 now, so the 501 becomes essentially 400 plus, you'd say 100 plus the 1, right? Because that would still add up to 501 right there. But now I'm going to take the 100 in the middle, and I'm going to take a 10 of those, which then makes it 90, and make that 1 and 11. See that? Which is why it's shown like this, 490 and 11. Of course, there's no number such as 490, 11. But that's essentially what we turn 501 into, is 490 and 11. See, the 11 now gives us enough ones to take away those 3. So I'd say 11 minus the 3, so I'll take away 3 fingers. Boom, you end up with 8. 8 fingers up right there, right? And then 9, and we're in the tens place value there. 9 minus 6, 9 fingers up, 6 fingers down. Boom, I get 3. And then the 4, of course, is just going to drop as a 4. Now, we could show the same number here. It's not going to matter. It's still 438. But again, that has to do with the borrowing that we had to do from the 500s place value. So if you see zeros, which is going to happen with the subtraction type problems, if you see zeros and you need to borrow from a 0, I should say, then you have to turn to the next place value as well, okay? I do want to clarify the borrowing thing. This is where we kind of we start to lose our I wouldn't say focus, but we start to lose some motivation, because it's like, it's different, right? It's like, okay, well, I understand 501 becomes it's hard to understand that 501 becomes 490 and 11, right? So there's a lot of students that struggle with borrowing. And again, this, like when I do stuff in my head, when I'm doing these types of calculations, that's where I make my mistake, is with the borrowing. So if you're struggling with this, please understand that you're not alone with the borrowing thing, all right? So good. So this first one, it's 60,502 minus 5,786. So again, we're going to write these by their place values, right? So we got 60,502, and again, I am spacing these out just a little bit on purpose, and I should probably write my zeros a little bit better. That's a 0 right there. That's a 0, but the 6 there is, this one is supposed to be a 6. Maybe making those lines thicker made it worse. I don't know. But the number we're subtracting here, 5,786. So I got a 5 in the thousands place value, 7 in the hundreds place value, 8 in the tens place value, and a 6 in the ones place value. All right. And again, we're focusing on one place value at a time, starting with our place value farthest to the right. Which means, I can ignore all those other place values, and then we'll work with it place value as we go. But again, we see that's a 2 minus 6 right there. So the 2, what I need to do is make that 2 a bigger number so that I can subtract 6, right? Because 2 minus 6, I'm taking away more than I have. That's no good. All right, so I would turn to my next place value, which is in the tens place value, right? Now, again, the problem with this is that there's nothing in the tens place value to borrow from. So I couldn't say, well, 0 now becomes 12 because there's not 12 to borrow, and there's not a 10 to make this a 12. Okay? So what that means is I've got to go to an even bigger place value and borrow from there. Now, again, we're just focusing on the top number, right? I need this to be something like 12, so I can take away 6. You may say, well, 0 minus 8, 0 minus 7. Again, or 5 minus 7 right there. We're not focusing on these bottom numbers, only the top one to make the 2 in the ones place value bigger. So I've got a 5 in the hundreds place value, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the 5, and I'll write this down on the bottom here. Now that would be 500, right? Now I'm going to take the 500, I'm going to change it into 400. Again, it's kind of like changing 5 $100 bills into $400 bills. And then you'd say, well, then I'd have 9 $10 bills and then 10 $1 bills like this. Okay? So I took, again, I'm relating this to money. I hope that kind of helps. I took $500 bills and I then changed them into 4 $100 bills, 9 $10 bills, and then 10 $1 bills, right? It has the same exact value. I'm just showing it differently right here. So if it's 400, 90, and 10, then it's going to translate up here in the problem as well. The 5 now is a 4 because that's the 400 here. The 90 now, that's in the tens place value, right? It's not a 0, it's a 9 in the tens place value. And then these 10 ones, I'm putting them in the ones place value. So now I have those 10, but I also had the 2 that I started out with, which makes this 12. So let's go back to the ones place value, right? Because now we took the 500, we kind of translated, transformed it, however you want to say it, into, now we have the 10 in the ones place value, right? And we'll see the changes for the rest of the place values as we go. But this is 12 minus 6 here. All right? So 12 take away 6. Again, however you do it with your fingers. Like if you have actual money in front of you and counting that way, that's fine. 12 minus 6, 6. Okay? So that's the ones place value. Then I go to the tens place value. Again, I'm not concerned about the 0 that I crossed out. That's why, and I probably should have mentioned this, that's why I do cross it out like this. And I have seen students in the past, they just kind of like completely scribble it out like that so that it's out of their mind. They actually cannot see it. And if that's you, that's fine. We do need to see the 9 though, right? So like if you write that a little bit higher so that's just off the number, that's fine. I guess I kind of ran out of space there, but 9 minus 8, so you got 9 fingers up, take away 8, boom, 1 finger up, right? So that's our tens place value. Let's go to the hundreds place value. Okay, here's the hundreds place value. I got 4 minus 7. Again, I'm not worried about the 5. I'm just looking at the 4 there. 4 minus 7. Well, 7 is too big to take away from the 4. I can't use it, okay? Which means I need to look to the next place value to borrow from. Oh, there it is. It's a 0 again. It's all over again. So I'm going to look to even the next place value, the 6. And again, I'm going to borrow from the 6. It's in the 10,000s place value, right? So, again, let me just show what is actually happening here, right? What I'm looking at is really 400 minus 700, okay? But again, and this is because I'm in the hundreds place value. We don't usually show those zeros right here. But whether you do or not doesn't matter. It is 400 minus 700. That is essentially what we're looking at. But I'm taking away too much. So I would go then to the next place value, the thousands. Well, there are no thousands. So I'm going to have to take the 60,000 and then put 10 of those into the thousands place value, right? So again, to show the work on this, that means I take the 60,000 and transform it then into 50,000 with 9,000 and another 1,000. Now again, this is 9,000 plus the 1,000 makes 10,000, but then another 50,000 would give you that 60,000, okay? So the value hasn't changed. Again, I just changed the way that it looks, that's all. So what does that mean? It means that now this 1,000 right here is actually, I'm going to make it into hundreds, right? Which would make that 1,400, which is the calculation that I'm performing. But what does it do to the other numbers? It changes those, right? So now in the thousands place value, I got these 9 that are left over. That's that 9,000 there. And then in the 10,000s place value, I only have 5 left over there. And again, whether you cross them out completely, like just completely scratch them out, or whether you just have it kind of slash through, that's fine, either way. Okay, so then that becomes 14, and 14 minus 7, so you got 4 fingers up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down, and yeah, I got 7 fingers up still, so that's 7. That's the hundreds place value. In the thousands place value, you got 9 minus 5, so 9 fingers up, 5 fingers down, that's 4 fingers up there. And then this 5, again, it's just a 5. In the 10,000s place value is, well, just 5. I apologize. I should have been moving the box as I was doing that, but I apologize. I forgot to. All right. So 60,502 take away 5,786 is, I'll box this in, 54,716. And yeah, if you want to throw a comma in there just while you're writing it by hand, that's fine. Why don't you guys take a minute and try this one, right? This is 96,003 minus 1,324. Try it. Even if you don't know how to do it, I would recommend trying these out because you'll get some experience on what not to do, which is sometimes it's a good experience, okay? So if sometimes we'll learn by, I guess, counter example, I should say. So if you make mistakes on this, that's okay. You'll learn from those mistakes. That's the idea. And so when we show the work for this problem, hopefully you'll have it down, right? But take a minute, try this one out, then we'll go over it. So I'm going to set this up, right? We got 96,003. Yeah, I had to give myself a little bit more space there. I should space that 6 out a little bit more. That'll do, I guess. Yeah, so we got a 9 in the 10,000s place value, 6 in the thousands, 0 in the ones, 0 in the tens, and then a 3 in the ones place value. And we're subtracting. So there's my subtraction sign. 1 in the thousands position, 3 in the hundreds position, 2 in the tens position, and 4 in the ones position right here, okay? I like this example. I don't think we've seen one where we've got to go over 3 place values to borrow from, but it's going to work exactly the same way. In fact, it's going to work from the beginning. Now, it may sound weird to say we got a 3, right? And let me cover this stuff up so we can focus on one place value. So in the ones place value, you got 3 minus 4, but the problem is I'm taking away more than I have. So I need that 3 to increase its value. And again, just because our place values are base 10s means that really I'm going to make that a 13 right there, all right? So I would look to my next place value. And what do I got? I got nothing to borrow from, okay? So I'd have to go even further and I'd say, oh, the hundreds place value, oh, nothing to borrow there either. That's no good. Okay, so right now I don't have enough just by looking at the hundreds place value and the tens place value to make this 13. So I'm going to go over even further into my thousands place value. I say, okay, now I can borrow, right? I have enough. I have 6,000. Again, if you're looking at it like money, it's like I got 6,000 and I can make it a smaller denomination in order to make 13 ones, right? And again, it may seem weird to say, well, I'm going to borrow all the way to the thousands, but there was nothing to borrow here in the hundreds or tens place value, okay, which is why we need to keep moving to the other place values to see until we can borrow, all right? So that's 6,000. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll show the work again. So there's 6,000. What I'm going to do is I'm going to split it up. I'm going to make it 5,000. So I'm going to still keep 5,000 in the thousands position, right? So that 6 now is a 5. But also, I've got another 1,000 to work with, right? Again, it's like money. I got 5,000 I just used up. I got another $1,000 to work with. Why don't I make this 900 right there, right? Okay. So So I'd say in my hundreds place value, I got 9 of those. And then in the tens place value, I got 100 more. Again, if I use money, I say $100 more to work with. Okay, so that means I'd take 90 10, nine tens, which is 90. So that's 0 now, showing a 9 there. And this is where I get my 10 ones from, right here. This is a 10 right there, right? Because when I combine all of this, I get my 6,000. So that this last 10 right here is the one with the 13 right there, okay? So I'd say, all right, let's go back. I borrowed. Looks like I got enough now. I got the 13. I can take away the 4. 13 minus 4. So 3 fingers up, take away 4 fingers, and then I got 9 fingers up. Okay. Now I look to my tens place value. That's 9 minus 2. 9 fingers up, 2 fingers down. That's 7. That's in the tens place value. Now the hundreds place value. 9 fingers up, 3 fingers down is 6. And then the thousands place value, 5 fingers up, 1 finger down, which is 4. And now the 10,000s place value is just a 9 right there. So yeah, let's just drop that as a 9. So we end up with 94,679, and that would be our final answer right there. Now, I may be making more of this than what you need. Some people are like, I know I can just change these numbers and that's fine with you. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to think about this as like 5,990, 10. I'm just pointing this out because if you can understand where this one comes from in a situation like this, you know, whether you need to borrow from the thousands or 10,000s or even the tens place value, it's not going to matter to you. You know where these 10 came from, which hopefully gives you a little bit more of a foundation to work with as we continue on.